Hello and welcome to Talk Time. This week, we're going to take a look at the annual 4th Africa Culture and Wellness Festival, which is taking place in Accra, specifically at the Buri Botanical Gardens, and the opening ceremony is going to happen at the Nebuke Center. We like to find out what about Africa is related to wellness and what specifically perhaps African culture is. And we have with us in the studio a very, very special person, who knows his stuff. Welcome to Talk Time.
It's a beautiful day. I'm gonna make most of it. It's a beautiful day. A day to share with you. You'll make my world go round. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really got me saying, nice girl brings home happiness, brings home happiness.
Experience the wide range of top quality and affordable electronics, phones, tablets, home and office appliances from NASCO. NASCO, bring home happiness.
Hello and welcome to Talk Time. And as I indicated before, we're going to have a conversation about the 4th Annual Africa Culture and Wellness Festival, which is scheduled to open in the Eburi Botanical Gardens, and part of the ceremony will take place in East Legon at the Nebuke Institute. Now, we'll be finding out what about Africa is related to wellness, what can we specifically identify as African culture, and we'll have a conversation also about healing processes. I mean, what is it that we need to do in order to keep healthy and so on. And we are very, very privileged to have with us in the studio a master healer from the United States of America, Dr. Paul Goss. Doc, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Good.
Now, Doc, what brings you to Ghana? What brings you to Ghana?
What
brings you to Ghana?
What? Oh, okay. Actually, I'm here mostly for a festival that we're having, and and also, you know, to speak on health to whoever it is that is the audience. Some of the things that we actually go throughout, you know, the world, we don't have to do that, but we are at the mercy of those that are in charge to dictate to us what we should eat, what we should do, and all of this. And at one point in time, we didn't have that. But some kind of way or another, probably in the last 400 years, they've taken over, you know, and so where we were up, now we're on the bottom. Where they were on the bottom, now they're on the top. And across the world, the difference is that they took their situation across the world in making sure that they were well taken care of as far as making laws, rules, regulations. And every time they make any type of regulation, it almost makes a peaceful situation turn out to be a criminal. But that doesn't mean just because the law was broken that somebody did something wrong. It's just that you broke a law that somebody made up. And one of those laws that's there is that we are not supposed to eat right. And we're supposed to die so that somebody else can make lots of money. That's basically what it is. So you might even call it a mission, is to put that back the way that it was and give and especially give all of us our health back. And it's not an easy journey, you know, but it's not one, you know, that you would give up. And I can easily say that about myself, because I've been doing this now. This is my 61st year to the public, and that is across the world. Yeah.
Now, Dr. Goss, what about this festival? What about this festival?
The festival?
It's so important that you had to travel all the way from the United States of America to participate in it.
Well, I think one of the things is that somebody gave me an order, and my daughter told me, she says, get your ticket because you're going to be there. So here I am.
What are we going to get out of this festival?
But the thing, actually, the festival itself, you know, should produce people that was not thinking for themselves to start doing some thinking. In other words, it's like we need to wake up on a lot of things that we are not. It's like we can praise throughout the universe things that we've done, but a good example would be is that there is nothing in this room, period, nothing, that was not created or invented by somebody black. And there's nothing in this room that was created by somebody white. But we don't control anything. And that even goes, you know, for the food situation. You got a food situation that you were using years ago, and it was very easy to see somebody living 300, 400, 500 years of age. But the situation that we have today, by the time the person is, say, 25 years of age, they're on their way downhill. And all the diseases and stuff that's out there that we're catching and having, we should not have any of those diseases. Our bodies is made up of a thing that we can conquer anything that we want to conquer. And if we do that, that means we have to listen to the body. And it's very simple to listen to the body. If you get a headache, don't nobody have to tell you. You know, the body is telling you, I got a headache. And that connection with of what we have with each other is that we went as, let's say, slaves, and taught the rest of the world how to live, how to build, how to take care of the body, how to do anything that basically is going on. That has been reversed to the situation that now they're telling us what to do, but all of it is wrong. So all of it started with the African culture, and hopefully, you know, that basically it will come back to all of us. And for all of those people, you know, that are out there, and even like you here with the thing, this is the way the message has to be getting out. So it would mean if I would look at my job to be important, I would look at your job to be just as important or more important, because you can reach a lot more people than I can.
Are there any specific things in African culture that are linked to our wellness?
The food.
The food.
It's the food.
What about the food?
Okay, anything in the way of sugar, meat, and dairy.
Sugar.
Sugar, yes.
Sugar, you mean refined sugar or anything sweet?
Refined sugar, yes.
It's been said, for example, that honey could be a very good substitute for refined sugar.
Or fruits. You know, just, okay, fruits is the sweets. Mm-hmm. Refined sugar is not. So when the body is calling for something sweet, it's not sugar. It's a fruit. And it's just that we listen to the other side, and it says sweets, and it gives it all kind of names like dessert. But when they put it up there, that means basically something that is artificially produced. Nature has nothing to do with it. It has to be made up to taste like something that can make the body addicted to it like a drug. And at the same time, sugar is the worst drug. Sugar is about 5 times worse than cocaine, heroin, and crack together. But we're addicted. So to break that addiction has to be that way.
Now, what does sugar do to the body? I mean, if sugar is that bad, it must do something to the body.
It must do something.
What is it?
Most people don't want to hear it.
We won't hear.
But to give you an example, on sugar. Okay, usually you hear the things about sugar diabetes, a person, being diabetic, and we have things which we call the eye doctors or whatever it is. A good example is that if our eyesight is going to go bad, we should be at least, I would say, 200. But by the time we're 12 years old, we're trying to put on a pair of glasses.
Like me.
Okay. But see, at the same time, even though you're wearing the glasses, you can get rid of the glasses. And the methods in which to use is not that difficult. But let's say if you put the plate on the table and you loading your plate up with what you are getting ready to eat. So you put one scoop in, and that scoop says blindness. Another scoop might say headaches. Another one, cancer. So you got on your plate cancer. You eat it, you have to get cancer. Because you're going to be whatever it is that you're eating. So anytime that you eat something and something happens to the body, it's because that was what was on the plate.
Now, beyond diabetes, what else does sugar do to the body?
Okay.
I suppose that the blindness is related to the diabetes, is it?
Yeah, okay. Now, diabetes itself is very simple. You're not getting enough nutrients out of the foods that you're eating. And that's all it is. So when you change that from something that is organic and natural from the genetically products that they put out, then the body itself recognizes it and it makes those changes right away. And it doesn't take, months or weeks of that to do it. It's like, in most cases, 2 days. The changes is usually made. And usually, in some cases, if you can do it and have a bowel movement that same day from what you were eating, then it only takes 1 day to turn it around to the other way.
What about dairy products? Dairy products like milk and so on. What is wrong with that? Dairy products. Milk. You mentioned sugar and you mentioned dairy products.
Oh,
what
dairy.
About,
Yeah, okay. Now dairy products, basically, most of the time, prostate cancer, you get it from dairy products, like your ice creams and your cheeses and all that. And women usually get fibroid tumors, ovarian cysts, breast cancer, and that. And it's all from eating dairy products, because there's a chemical that has to be put in there to make it dairy, which is called diethylstilbestrol. And that causes the body, to start to break down in the reproduction area. So usually that's basically what happens. So in a number of places that when people are eating a lot of this, especially the black people, a person can be 25 years of age and get prostate cancer. And in most cases, by the time they reach 25 to 30, their sex life is over. That's something that should not happen, at least for the first 100 years. But this is basically what is actually happening now. And sometimes that diethylstilbestrol that is, put into the food to eat is purposely done to try and decrease the population. Because if something is wrong with the reproduction area, there will not be any offspring.
What about meat?
Meat is basically more cancer. You get colon cancer because you got meat that is sitting inside the system sometimes for at least 21 days. And if you took a piece of meat, cooked it, and set it on the table, and let it sit there for 21 days, you know that what's going to happen to it. This is actually what's happening to it when it's on the inside the body. And see, by the body being heavy temperature, it's going to decay that meat a lot faster. So it goes through the system, and anything that is weak in the system is going to attack it. Yeah.
That's about meat.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I suppose that one of the things that we are going to pursue is that if we lived as Africans, it would be safer for us.
The latter, yeah.
If we lived as Africans,
Yeah.
it would be safer for us. Now, how do we live as Africans?
How do you live like Africa?
Yeah.
Okay,
What is uniquely African?
What do you eat? Well, the thing is, I haven't had any problems with the foods here in Africa that I eat. But there's things I would not, touch. But I understand from my daughter, that there's one place here which is called Vegan All-Stars. And they actually teach people, how to fix the food, to eat. In most cases, it's like this. If it grows on the tree and it comes out, let's say a papaya, then you don't need to do anything to the papaya, but just eat it. If it's a potato, you just eat it just like it is. But what is happening is we're genetically modifying it by adding all this other stuff with it to make it taste like something totally different than what it was. So it's that you want to do it healthy. All the trees that are here that are producing your fruits, eat them like they are without doctoring them up and putting other chemicals and drugs into it.
But some trees produce poisons.
Well, if it is that you don't touch it. In other words, if you got something, that's not going to be good for the body, you don't touch it. You just leave it alone.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what do you do in the United States of America? What do you do in the United States of America?
What you mean as far as what I...
Yeah. What do you do in the United States of America?
Yeah, basically the fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. That's my entire diet. And I've been this way now for the last 61 years. I haven't touched any sugar, any meat, any dairy. But I don't think that I would be here today, not living where I'm at, if I hadn't changed my diet years ago.
But you are described as a master healer. Who is a master healer?
What is that?
You are described as a master healer. Master healer. You are described as a master healer, somebody who heals people, who cures diseases.
Okay, give it to me another way.
Okay, let me try and do it another way.
Okay.
You are a master healer.
Oh, yes. What is a master healer?
What's a master
Okay,
healer?
okay.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't give myself that term, but the master healer situation would be, I look at it this way. If the medical association has a situation that they cannot handle, it means they need to give it to somebody that can handle that particular situation. So what I've been doing for the last 60 years is when they can't handle a situation and they put a person on hospice to die, then I'll get some of those people, basically to straighten them out so they don't have to die. So I'm thinking that that's basically where that name Master Healer came from.
How did they come to know that you could do that?
Yes. If the person, is actually, let's say, terminal cancer, they call the family together and they say, okay, you got a maximum 2 days, 5 days to live. If that person can get to me, I will examine that person myself. And I examine them, by using the iris of their eye. So when I look into the eye, those patterns that shows up in the eye is the same patterns that goes through your system. So when any of those patterns are messed up and are broken up, it tells me what part of the body is actually having a problem. And I look at that and I change that problem with the body, and once it's changed, it also changes in the eye. And then that person is back to normal again.
Did you have to go through any special training to do what you're doing?
Now, I went through training, but the kind of training that I went through was a little different. I had 2 African elders that took me when I was about 12 years old, and they started teaching me. So in the process of teaching me, I was to go out and get all the herbs and things that they would use, for herbal medicines. And so they would teach me what to go get. I'd go get it and bring it, to them. In the meantime, I learned everything basically that they could teach me in doing it. At that particular time, I didn't realize it was that important, but then when you become, say 18 years of age, and you start going through certain things that they're having in the different schools and colleges, then you wake up. And so from that point, I decided, that the body was not made to be born and die. It was actually made to live forever. You just change your positions. So that's basically, where my training came from. And at the same time, in one of my books, I even put in there, if you're black, you know everything it is to know about everything it is to know. All you have to do is develop into that. And once you develop into it, then you just keep waking up that gene that is in the person on and on and on. And that gene has been there in every black person, the same gene, to know everything for the last 15 million years. But we just have to wake it up. Nobody else can wake it up but the individual.
We have to wake it up.
Yeah.
Well, viewers, we're talking to Dr. Paul Goss, who is a master healer from the United States of America, and he's here as the keynote speaker at the 4th Annual Africa Culture and Wellness Festival. It's a culture that's going to examine the connection between our culture, what we eat and what we do, and our health. We're going to go for a short break. When we come back, I'd like to find out from him whether what he does is based on science or is influenced by science in any way. Short break.
How much is this?
600.
Wonderful. I think I'll take this one.
But what's your size?
44.
This is 43. I could get you 44. This is the man, your home of quality shoes from the UK. We have various shoes for the office, for your formal and casual occasions. Visit the man in Abilingpe. Our office is located just behind Aquatech. Our telephone numbers are 020-873-7166. You can also reach us on our landline 0302-730-760. We'll be expecting you.
Well, hello and welcome back to Talk Time. And we are in conversation with Dr. Paul Goss, a master healer from the United States of America, who is here to participate in the 4th Annual Africa Culture and Wellness Festival. Now, Doc,
Yes.
what you do, is it science? Is it based on science?
Is it based on
Science.
sex?
Science.
Science.
Yeah.
If you wanted to call it African science, I would say yes. But as far as that is based on science as we know it across the world, especially when it's European, that kind of science changes almost every day. So it's like, today this is scientifically proved, but tomorrow you got to prove it again another way. And it just keeps on going year after year after year. But when it comes to African science, it does not change. It's the same all the time. A good example of what I'm saying is that if you went to Egypt and you went through the temples, everything you see on the walls is the textbook. But that textbook never changes. So everybody that is there going back 1,000 years ago is still using the same textbook that is in the temples on the wall. But when we're using European textbooks, they change every year. It's just that whatever it is that the black mind can give to the white mind is going to make sure that the books are changed. So their books are read so you can learn from their books to take care of them. Our books are read so that you can learn to take care of you. And that's the two differences that we have there, which is the same thing with the science. The science never changes when it's black, but it changes for everybody else every year.
Why is that so? Because if the world itself is changing, then science ought to be changing.
Yeah.
If the world is
they will.
changing, then science ought to be changing.
The science of community.
If the world, the universe, is changing,
It's changing, yes.
then science ought to be changing.
Well, it is changing in a way. But let me give you some examples of basically how the world changes. Peaceful conversation so that we can be at peace. So the meeting that we're going to have is going to be a meeting for peace. Then you would look at it as if to say that you're going to say what you have to say, I have to say what I have to say, and we're going to come to a happy medium and we're going to have peace. But if you took the European world, which is making the world change in that direction, that's why there's so much chaos going on, because the people are rebelling and fighting against the changing of the world. What a white person would mean when they use the word peace is that who is it are we going to drop a bomb on? Because that's what peace means to them. Kill that you don't understand for your own benefit. So the world is changing, but the changing in the world now is coming back to the kind of change that we would have if we were dealing with peace.
Now, Dr. Goss, you said that you can look through people's eyes. You can look through people's eyes
Yes.
and tell what is wrong.
Yes.
What is the connection between the eye and the rest of the body? What is the connection?
Okay, the eyes is the most sensitive thing that the body has. So it has a pattern inside the eye. So when you actually walk, talk, or do anything that you do, the eyes is involved. So let's say if you hurt your foot, in your eyes, it's going to show up that your foot is hurt. If you got cancer, it's going to show up in your eyes that you have cancer. Little signs, that things that are in there. Anything that basically that the body is not in harmony with itself, it's going to show up in the eyes. So what I do with that, I look at that and take, let's say, the African knowledge and replace that with the person, or have them to replace it, to make it back to what it was. I think before the break we were talking about the glasses.
Yeah.
Okay. You go and you get your optometrist, I guess that's what, you go and you get your eyes examined. They know what happened to them. But they're not going to tell you what's doing it, because if they do, they can't make any money. So what needs to happen is that that's something that you would have to change, yourself. So you seek out somebody that knows what's going wrong with these eyes that I can't see. They help you correct that particular problem. Now, I can give you a demonstration if you...
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. We'll take this here. Is this difficult to read without your glasses?
Impossible to read.
Impossible to read.
Yeah.
Okay. But with your glasses, you can do it. Now, are you familiar with a container that looks like this?
I've seen containers like that. Yeah.
Which is actually a film cartridge. Now, you can actually do this. You don't need this. You can do your hand this way and do the same thing. But this is basically for people, that have a hard time trying to open up this part and close that. Now, this here is actually a thumbtack. That's the only thing that is in there, that small hole I just put in there. Now take this and look through the big part. Yeah, put it right up to your eyes, like that. Now take this here, and while you got that up to your eye, move that to the point where does it make it clear?
Yeah, I can read. Yeah. Yeah, I can read.
You can read it.
Yeah.
Now see, all that is a hole. There's no glass or magnification or anything. But what is happening is this. Since this is dark, then that darkness that is there, it covers the glands that's in your eyes that causes your eyesight to not have too much light coming in or enough light coming in. So what it's doing is it's connected to the optic nerve Once you black everything out, the optic nerve is now in full force. But you can put things into your system that keeps the darkness out, and it creates a type of light on the optic nerve, and that blurs your vision that you can't see. So by doing this, you actually drowned it out, all that bad stuff that we put in our system that is causing that light to kill the optic nerve with this. So it's just a simple, when you don't put it in your system, then that light that is in there that's blinding you, it disappears.
So
And then you get your eyesight back.
Okay. If I want to have healthy eyes, eyes that can see normally and so on, what do I do? I can't carry this all along.
No, you can't.
Yes.
Right.
So what do I do to see?
Okay, this is basically what we are told: do not look at the sun because the sun is too bright and it can damage your eyes. You look at the sun because it is bright and it helps your eyes. So if you look at it and it helps your eyes, you get rid of the glasses. If we obey what they're saying and don't look at the sun, then it helps them because they get paid. So it's millions of people out there, you know, that they can mess up and get millions of dollars from. But if everybody knew that they could keep their good eyesight, there wouldn't be an optometrist in the world. The same way with anything else. If you know you could keep a healthy body, why would you need a doctor? Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go back to the United States of America.
Okay.
Who do you look after? Who do you look after? Who are your patients?
Who are my patients?
Yeah.
My patients are black people.
Why not white people?
I don't do white people at all.
Why?
Because see, here's one of the reasons. At one point, I was taking everybody. But when you are doing something that is hurting the white profession, white people will tell the white profession. So I ended up in court over and over and over and over again. So after about 10 different court appearance, court sections, you know, like most of the time they last about a week. And 5 of those cases that I had, I was found guilty. But you don't go to jail for it because it's a misdemeanor. So the whole thing comes down is that the law in America is that anything that does anything is practicing medicine without a license. You can drive your car, get you from point A to point B, and they can class that as practicing medicine. Or if a mother tells her child, go in and take some cough syrup, or go and take this, you know, so that it'll make a change. Take this particular plant so you can have a bowel movement. That's practicing medicine. In the United States, you're not supposed to do that. The Medical Association tells you what to do, and you're supposed to do it. Anything else, you're bucking that system. But in my situation, because of my African heritage, anytime you attack me for what I'm doing, it makes me stronger. So that's basically what I do there. Attack me, I get stronger. And other black people, you know, that are basically there doing the same thing, and some of the people that would be at the festival that we're having, they're doing the same thing basically that I'm doing. It's just that you can't attack somebody and make them stop if it's in their genes.
But what do you use for treatment? I mean, we've spoken about food, you know, and so on. But just in case somebody was referred to you that had cancer,
Yes.
what would you use for the treatment of cancer?
Okay.
What do you use?
Yeah.
Do you use orthodox medicine? What do you use?
Right. Okay. I've made up a set of herbs, and that set of herbs will get rid of any cancer of any type that anybody has. So the person comes to me with the cancer. They've been through radiation, chemotherapy, and all this, and so I get that particular person. It takes me about, I'm going to say, the first 2 to 3 days to turn that cancer around. So what I do, I have to make sure that that person gets enough nutrients in their system to counteract that cancer that's in the system that's killing the cell. So if the cells in the body is building, say, at 10%, and the cancer is at 90%, then I have to make sure that I get more nutrients in that person's body than the cancer is taking it away. So let's say if they're at 52% and dying, I got to make sure they get at least 53% to turn it around, make them go the other way. So the closer they get to the other side, it's like when the cancer gets to the point where it's 5%, then that means the nutrients is up 95%, and they're free.
Now, you're also described as a product maker. You make products.
A meal.
You make products.
Yes.
What products?
They're herbal products. They're called New Body, and all of them are made, from herbs. So I have about 700 different herbs that I can mix certain ones together, and this is what actually takes care of whatever the person has. And I even have a book that has in the book, if you have a certain problem, it tells you what herbs to use for that particular problem. And so even if I'm not around or anybody's not around, they can just look in the book and the book will tell them, basically what to do.
Where do you get the herbs from? Where?
The herbs?
Yeah.
Most of my herbs come out of Africa. Even when I'm out, even in a quarry where you got grass and stuff growing, some of it's not grass, per se. And it's all around us. It's just any field that you could get into, you'll have enough herbs there, to take care of any problem that anybody here has.
What are your products, some of your products? What are some of your products?
Okay, for instance, let's say your spices that you have here, which is also an herb. If you needed something like, say, vitamin A, you would want to get the ones that grow the highest on the tree. At the same time, you would also want to get that for vitamin D. Vitamin A and vitamin D would more or less produce those things that are real high on the tree. The sunlight is the best vitamin D and A you can get. But those fruits that is high on the tree gets more of the sunlight than those that are on the lower part of the tree. So, but all of this, is still a part of the herbs. And then you got things like dandelion, comfrey, all of your trees, even like your shea butter tree and all that. You know, these things all have the things that the body needs to repair itself. So I take those things, you know, and I buy them, you know, basically, and I buy them in bulk, you know, sometimes container full, and I have my own manufacturing company where I put all this stuff together, and we put it in capsules, and then that's basically how it's being distributed throughout the world.
Like the normal pharmaceutical company, capsules, like those made by normal pharmaceutical companies. You make capsules?
Yes.
Like capsules made by pharmaceutical companies?
No, they're not made by pharmaceutical.
But they look like, don't
right.
they? Yeah.
See, the capsules we use, they're called veggie caps. They're actually made out of vegetables. When you don't see the word vegetable cap, then that becomes the other capsule, which is usually made out of pig feet, most cases. We don't use any of those capsules simply because if you're going to give somebody something that's good for them, don't put it in pig feet. You know, now you got half and half. So that's the reason I use the vegetable capsule. And in a lot of cases, most cases, to just take it like it is in the powder, mix it with water or juice, and just drink it.
How many times do you come to Africa in a year? How many times do you come to Africa in a year? Yes.
I used to come more often, you know, but now I'm going to say once.
And is that enough,
And
enough to collect all the herbs you need?
Yeah. Well, I take that back. I said once. I was just speaking of Ghana. Yeah. Yeah, I do go to other parts of Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're collecting your herbs from all over Africa? You're
Yes.
collecting the herbs from all over Africa?
The products.
The herbs.
The herbs.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I don't get all of my herbs from Africa because I'll do this, and I've done this, you know, way back, you know, say for the last 40 years. I may get seeds from Africa, and I have land, so I plant these seeds on the land. Once it grows, it's still the same product, and I use from that point. But those that I can't get and grow, which is most of them, they all come from some parts of Africa. Like, let's say, aloe vera, that comes from South Africa. The shea butter comes from here. Most of the spices might come from, say, Egypt. But basically, it's of all those products that I have, a number of them comes from each different country.
From the different countries. And then you mix them up in the U.S. Now, if somebody wanted to get your products, how would they find it? Where would they find it?
Basically here, you could probably find me through here. My daughter lives here, and if you were here and you contact her, and I can say this, that I am doing in the holistic field, I made sure that my daughter was well taught. So whatever it is that I'm doing, she could do the same thing. And she's here all the time, and she does this all the time here.
Where can she be found? Where is your daughter? I mean, where is your daughter? If I wanted alternative treatment, how do I find your daughter?
How would you find that daughter?
Yeah.
Well, see, in your case right now, you could just look over there.
But if I'm just sitting at home and watching television.
But there's a phone number that is on here. You could give that number, you know, and that basically be directed to her, and she could get.
Well, I'm going to look at her right across. Well, viewers, we are talking to Dr. Paul Goss, who is a master healer. And as you can see, he's one of us, but he comes from the United States of America and is here to participate in the 4th annual Africa Culture and Wellness Festival. And we're going to go for a break, and when we come back, I'd like to find out from him what tricky situations he's handled before. You know, what are the cases that he's handled before that he found very difficult and why? And also ask some questions about the things that we are told every day about exercising and so on. So short break from Talk Time.
It's a beautiful day. I'm gonna make most of it. It's a beautiful day. A day to share with you. You'll make my world go round. Yeah, yeah. It's really got me saying, nice girl brings home happiness, brings home happiness.
Experience the wide range of top quality and affordable electronics, phones, tablets, home and office appliances from NASCO. NASCO, bring home happiness.
Well, hello and welcome back to Talk Time. And we are in conversation with Dr. Paul Goss, who is described as a master healer, and he comes from the United States of America. He's here to participate in the 4th annual Africa Culture and Wellness Festival. Now, Doc, you said that some people have been referred to you, you know, from the hospitals and so on. What has been your success rate?
The most of the time, it's usually going to be radiation poison, thyroid problems, brain tumors, colon cancer. Most of the time it's going to be one of those, you know, even though I work with all of it. But the ones that are referred to me, is, you know, especially by some of the people in the medical association, is usually those things.
What is your success rate? I mean, if 10 people were referred to you, could you heal all 10?
Well, let's see. I would say that so far at this point, under my care for the last, say, 60 years, I haven't lost a patient.
Never lost a patient?
All of them live.
Well, how many patients do you treat a year?
I would say usually it's about, averages out about 6 a day.
6 terminally ill patients a day?
Yes.
How do you do it?
I don't. You know, actually, sometimes I get sleep, you know, but basically, it doesn't take that much time, you know. Within 2 hours, I can go through 6 people. Because it's just as simple as saying, this is what's wrong with you, this is what you're doing, this is what you should do. Once that changes, then I don't have to do anything from that point, but just maybe once a year, that person may come back and I look at them and say, okay, you're clear. And that's it.
And is it the food you give them, or the exercise you give them, or medicines you give them? Which is which?
Yeah, it's just that if I'm recommending herbs for them, then all they have to do is keep refilling the herbs until the problem is gone. They do that by, if they know that they're actually getting better, then they know when they should stop, you know, the herbs. And in most cases, they will go, if they feel like they're okay, they go back to the doctor, get the x-rays and whatever it is that they need to get. And then the doctor will tell them, you know, that basically they're cleared up, that they don't have what they have anymore. So once I see the person, in most cases, the medical doctors will give them the okay that they're okay.
There's been a lot of talk about genetically modified foods. Genetically modified foods.
Genetically modified foods.
Yes. How do they affect our health? Do they in any case affect our health at all?
Yeah, it affects the health, you know, because the body is made up that it needs certain vitamins and minerals. If those vitamins and minerals are not present, the body's not going to react. If you took a plant, if you took a seed and put it in the ground and it was dry ground and you never had any water, that seed is not going to grow. But the water mixed with the chemicals in the earth against the seed causes the seed to grow and reproduce. Genetically modified foods can't do that. They have to be made in a lab. So it's like this. If you took a watermelon and you wanted to regrow that watermelon, you would take the seeds out of it to make the watermelon grow. But if that watermelon has been genetically modified, they call it seedless. So a seedless watermelon cannot reproduce. It has to be done in a lab. And that's the same with anything else. You got grapes out there, and these grapes, when you put the seed in the ground, it regrows itself, then that's natural. Mm-hmm. But if the grape does not have any seeds in it at all, then it has been genetically modified, and they took the seeds out of it. It's like a papaya. Papaya's got a lot of seeds in it. But you can buy papaya and have no seed.
Okay.
But you got papaya. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
See, how about it? Now you're having a problem with my answer. Okay. Yeah. But the papaya is lots of seeds are there. But you can go and buy it today, at least in the U.S., and you open it up. It looks the same on the outside, but when you open it up, not one seed is inside. And a lot of products are made the same way. And that's basically what genetically modified is. And it's going to be a big situation. Well, not going to be. I think it's a big situation here because I hear that Monsanto came here and talked into the whoever it is that's in charge of whatever it is of accepting genetically modified foods. And that's going to cause lots and lots of problems.
What about just eating European foods? Eating European foods.
Instant.
Africans eating European food.
They eat
if Africans eat European food, would it have any consequences?
Well, you know, if you eat the foods basically that are indigenous here, and believe me, you have everything here, you won't have any problems, you know, with eating what's here. But when somebody makes something up, you know, that's a little different. And, you know, I mean, I remember last year when I was here, I made a statement saying, if you're going to eat meat, you might as well eat any kind of meat, the cat, the rat, the dog, and all that, because it's going to do the same thing.
Well, Dr. Goss,
okay.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank
you very, very much for coming. Well, viewers have been talking to Dr. Paul Goss, who is a master healer. And as I indicated from the beginning, it's from the United States of America, and it's here to participate in the 4th Annual Africa Culture and Wellness Festival. What can I say again? Said it all. What we eat is important. What we take into our body is important, and we ought to exercise some care in what we eat and what we do as African people. Well, on behalf of all of us, the cameramen, the directors, the editors, everybody, makeup artists and so on, I'd like to say goodbye to you from Talk Time from Pan-African Television. See you again pretty soon. Bye-bye.